gang, it's your buddy Platt back with another Spirit Series video. Today we're going to build on what we talked about last video. Last video we talked about mixtos tequilas, which were tequilas that had other sugars besides agave sugars in it. The rest of the way out, we're going to talk about puro, P-U-R-O, or 100% blue agave tequilas. They're 100% sugars from the agave plant. Excuse me. There are three main categories, 3.5 really: Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. You can also add extra Añejo in with that. Today we're going to start off with the Blanco tequilas. Blanco, which means white, or you may also hear the term plata, which means silver. Blanco tequilas are tequilas that are unaged, or if they are aging, and they can be aged, they can be aged up to 2 months. And usually they're either aged just in stainless steel barrels, or they can spend some time in what's called neutral oak, or something without any charring. They are generally considered the purest form, or the purest form of tequila. They also, by some people, especially the American palate, when tequila was first introduced, some people consider it the harshest form of tequila. It has the most aggressive flavor. Some people say that's good, that it's not harsh, it's bold. Some people say, well, that's harsh. Tequilas that get aged, just like any other spirit, they start to mellow out. This is true with corn whiskey, scotch, rum. So the consideration here is people say, well, we don't want any mellowing. We want something closer to the base product that came from, which here is agave. And so the tequila snobs will tell you, well, no, you want a Blanco tequila. You don't want these other tequilas. And that Blanco represents the agave plant the best. And so, like I said, some people say it's the most authentic form. Simply put, like I said, Blanco tequilas are either unaged or less than 2 months. Pretty simple definition. So I thought I'd take the rest of the time to quickly talk about how we get from the agave plant to the distillery. Again, the agave plant, we're talking about a specific agave plant, the blue agave, or I believe the scientific name is Agave tequiliana Weber. Weber was the botanist that first labeled and quote-unquote discovered this strain of agave. The plants take anywhere from 5 to 9 years to grow to full maturity. So this is different than like growing grapes or producing a corn whiskey, where you have your annual harvest and we got to figure out something to do with it, so we'll ferment it and distill it. This takes a little time. The plants are harvested and taken care of on the plantation by a gentleman named, or person referred to as the Jimador. The Jimador, besides harvesting the plant, he makes sure to maintain the plants over the various growing seasons. And one of the things he does is they don't want the plant to flower. If a plant flowers, and remember, all plants are trying to reproduce, so they all want a flower to help in reproduction. But the plant's energy goes into that flower and not to the piña, which gets harvested. So the Jimador helps trim that plant constantly, make sure we don't get a flowering plant, and that plant's energy is going into that piña. Eventually, when the plant fully matures, the Jimador then comes to harvest it, and he uses a tool called a koa. Koa has a long wooden handle and a sharp curved blade, and he uses that to cut those long spiky leaves that you've seen on a tequila plant. The tips are actually real sharp. They were used at one time as arrowheads. But anyway, once he harvests and cuts those leaves away, he has something that looks like a giant pineapple. It's called a piña, and it can weigh anywhere between 150 and 240 pounds. These are massive, massive plants. Once those get harvested, they get taken to the distillery, and they get cut into halves or quarters, and those get thrown into giant ovens where they are cooked. The reason they're cooked is they want to convert the starches that are in those piñas into sugar, specifically fructose. It's similar to in home brewing, where you do a mash and You've got the barley. There's starches in the barley, but we got to turn that to sugar because we need the sugar for fermentation. In home brewing, you'll take hot water, roughly 154-degree water, put your grains in for 30 minutes an hour to kick off that reaction to convert these starches. Here we're going to cook that piña anywhere from 24 to 72 hours, and over that process, those starches then turn to sugar. Once that cooking process is done, those piñas are pulled out and they're crushed. Today in an industrial setting, they might use giant mill rollers or an industrial press. Back in the day, and still today in some distilleries, you will see the use of a giant circular stone wheel that gets pulled by a burro that just goes around, and they put the piñas underneath and it gets crushed, just pulverized to where it pushes out all that juice and it pulverizes the piñas to where you just have kind of a pulp at the end that gets used for animal feed or mulch. But you extract all that sweet juice now that is then fermented and eventually distilled. You could call the juice either your wort, or the term they use is mosto, M-O-S-T-O, or like a wine must, similar to wine must. And that again is what gets fermented. The wheel itself is called tohana. If you've ever heard that term, that's what that refers to. The particular Blanco Tequila we're going to try today is El Jimador Blanco Tequila, 80 proof, named after those fine gentlemen that harvest the agave for us. Let's give her a try. All right. Besides being estate grown, fermented, and distilled on the estate, it's 100% estate bottled. So everything's done on the estate. Sometimes it's not always true. And with mistos, we talked about that. It's not even on the plantation. It's not even done in the same state. Here, like I said, it's all done on property. Let's give her a try. All right, get a little sweetness on the nose, but it's still kind of raw, still kind of on the nose, reminds me a little bit of something coming off the still. Tequilas are double distilled, but they're not distilled further than that. Unlike when we talked about like white rums, how they were like the vodka of rums, they did not try to make Blanco Tequila the vodka of tequilas. They have not stripped out the flavor. They're not continuously running them through column stills. So again, this little raw, hotter spirit, maybe is the term. Yeah, you can smell a little bit. Let's give her a try. Again, a nice little sweet punch up front. This has more complexity than those mistos we tried. It's a smooth tequila. I'm just not getting that harshness. I'm not going like, nice slow kind of burn. I mean, when I'm drinking an 80 proof spirit, you're going to feel it here a little bit, but it's not pounding me. Again, it's nice. I could kind of envision that agave. I'm not getting smokiness or any wood, of course. Just getting that kind of raw, unfiltered spirit. This is I can almost feel like I'm drinking it off the still, but it's giving me, giving me a bit of that agave plant. I have tried El Jimador before. I will say this: if you go to your local liquor store for the $1, it's one of the better values. It's not a high price, fancy George Clooney's name's on this, but just a good, solid, clean Blanco Tequila for your $1. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.